what year did you move to Palm Desert?
1980. I mean, I guess technically 1981, because when we moved from Boston, we moved to Palm Springs for a year until my parents could find a house they could afford. And then in 81, that's when we moved out this way. My pops was a drummer, and he had his old drum set from the 50s and 60s, like, just packed away in their cases down in the basement. And I started tapping on the dinner table one night, and I remember my mom was making fried chicken, and you know, my mom just looked at my dad and said, look, it might be time to pull out the old drum set. And I've been hitting things ever since.
Was that a full-sized drum kit?
Yeah.
So you've always played big drums.
Yeah.
So where are we now?
Thousand Palms Canyon Oasis. And again, it's, you know, we're pretty much standing on top of the San Andreas Fault.
Oh, wow.
Which is, you know, the deep crack down into the earth, you know, lets water come up, so there's...
Feeding all the palm trees.
Yeah. Very first band was actually, it was called... It was a punk rock band. I was about 11 years old, and it was called Menaces of Society.
How fitting.
Yeah, well, and I was the singer.
So you didn't play?
No, because the only place we could practice, quote unquote practice, was at school, and the school didn't have a drum set.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have the means to like get with like there. It just wasn't feasible. And so it was guitar, bass, and me screaming. And oddly enough, I remember the first verse of the first song that we ever wrote. It was so stupid. It was, we're the menaces of society, we're the menaces of society, you know it's true. We're the menaces of society, fuck you. Yeah, it's weird though, like as a kid growing up out here, like, you know, I remember Brant and I one day having a conversation where we realized that we didn't really leave a 2 square mile area. And so even though this is only 10 minutes from my house, like it seemed like almost like a little day trip to come out here.
Yeah.
I know that sounds
Well, if you don't have a
terribly
car, and if you're on skateboards or bikes or something,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
105 degrees like it is right now.
God, I can't believe I used to like skateboard all day in this. You know, I do kind of laugh about being a kid. Like, you know, my brother and I were talking not too long ago, and, you know, he was like, yeah, I learned everything not to do by watching you do it. And it was just, I don't know why, man. It was whatever you got, I was going to rebel against it. And it didn't make things the easiest for me, but... You know, and being a weirdo in a small town in and of itself, you know, it might sound trite now, but back in like 1984, having like blue hair in a small desert town meant that you got called a lot of names and had to fight a lot.
For sure.
And that only kind of solidified my stubborn resolve that if just being a weirdo and skateboarding bummed people out, then I was going to do everything I could to bum them out even more.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, it was like every band had a logo, so you try to like, you know, you do all of that sitting on the bus, and then, but like never play together.
Yeah.
I mean, like me and Josh at one point, me and him and this guy, Ryan Schmidt, were going to start a band, and then my other friend Josh, his older brother Mike, who is sort of like a Mario Lally figure also to us. He had they had a real band that had a record out and played shows. They were called Dotted Swiss, and he was my brother and I's babysitter. And you know, when they'd just make little 4-track cassettes though, you know, he'd put us to work when he was babysitting us, like labeling all the cassettes, and like, you know, he'd go to his dad's office and Xerox off like these things. Me and Dylan, that's my brother, would like cut everything out and fold them and, you know, package them.
We're here.
When I think of Fatso Jetson, I just think of the camaraderie of me, Mario, and Larry.
Yeah.
And, you know, now Dino, but it's getting to do this weird thing with my friends.
Yeah.
And that we've been friends for, and I mean, that we've been a band for 6 years. Like, that's just nuts to me,
Yeah,
you know, because it was never meant to be that, you know. I mean, it was not that it wasn't meant to be that, it just, we never had any greater plan other than just playing music in a bar at 3 in the morning after closing. Fatso has always sort of, like, I feel like it's this thing, and you know, I feel like with All Souls, it's so new and refreshing to me to be able to, you know, not only be playing with new people, but not, like, I feel like me, Mario, and Larry have a certain sound, you know, regardless of what we're doing. I feel like it you know, it's a relationship that I've been a part of for 25 years, and it's really great to have something new, and you know, it's challenging. It's taught me, you know, I play drums completely differently in this band than I do in that band, and you know, and it's like things like that are the most rewarding for me.
Your drumming is definitely front and center, and a lot of people are starting to recognize you for that.
Yeah.
Because of the style, it's like it's more forceful, it's more intense,
Yeah.
it's more upfront, and it's really awesome to see, because I've known you and I've seen you play for so long, to have that be such a front and center instrument in our band. It's like really cool to see people coming up to you after shows, you know, and we've got Trammell, who's a fucking wizard on the guitar, and he's certainly getting his accolades too, but people are freaking out over your drumming, and it's really cool to see that you're getting that kind of recognition at this point.
Yeah, well, you know, the one, I don't even know that I did it consciously, but I've sort of made it a point to, with every song, to like figure out a way to really challenge myself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whether it's, you know, rhythms that I'm not necessarily super comfortable with, or what, you know, a good example would be the whole middle section of Sadist. You know, mm-hmm. It's like there's in essence like a drum solo in the middle of the song that, you know, Tony was really instrumental and like, yeah, you should do this thing. Mm-hmm. And it was like, yeah, okay. And I don't think I honestly would have ever even approached that in Fatso. I've really enjoyed it, because, you know, every time we start working on a new song, I literally am like, get excited of, oh, what can I do to, you know, and it's not about being flashy or whatever, but like, it's about pushing. Yeah. And yeah, so
I feel that too.
Music's the only thing that I really understand, mm-hmm. and that I'm halfway decent at. So, you know, I'm too old to be skateboarding anymore, and, you know, if I didn't have this, I don't know what I would do with myself. So.
Well, thankfully you found it.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, buddy.